True Peace, Ken's Americans with Disability Act, ADA. Mm-hmm. Peep the slang. The Americans with Disability Act of 1990, ADA, is a federal law that prohibits discrimination against qualified individuals with disabilities. Mhm. The ADA requires that reasonable accommodation be made to provide individuals with disabilities equal access to services, programs, and opportunities such as employment and housing. Several federal agencies and departments enforce the ADA, including the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, and the Department of Justice. Peep the slang, yo. What is a disability? A person has a disability under the ADA 42 USC subsection 12101 ETSEQ if he or she has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. A record of such an impairment or is regarded as having such an impairment, whether or not a person's condition is a disability under the law, is determined individually. The ADA does not list specific covered disabilities, though some are excluded from coverage, such as pedophilia, transvestism, compulsive gambling, pyromania, and current drug use. Mhm. People with past drug or alcohol problems are protected from job discrimination by the ADA, as are individuals with current alcohol problems who are able to perform their jobs. Peep the slang, yo. Title I, Employment. The ADA prohibits discrimination in the workplace against qualified individuals with disabilities by an employer, public or private, generally with 15 or more employees. The ADA also governs employment agencies, labor organizations, and joint labor management committees. The law prohibits discrimination based on disability at each step of the employment process, from job application to advancement or termination of employees. Peep the slang. A qualified individual is a person who is qualified to perform the essential functions or duties of a job with or without reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation is a modification to a job or workplace that allows disabled applicants or employees otherwise qualified to apply for a job, perform the essential functions of a job, or obtain the same benefits of employment as employees without disabilities. Discrimination under the ADA is not limited to hiring and firing an individual, but may take such forms as inappropriately classifying a job applicant or employee, not hiring or promoting qualified individuals who are disabled, or failing to make reasonable accommodations for employees who our employer knows has mental or physical limitations. Employers can require applicants to complete a medical examination after they have offered that person a job, but only if the employer requires that of all applicants and the employer keeps the medical record confidential. Peep the slang. If you have a medical disability, some reasonable accommodations from an employer include working from home, flexible hours, workplace noise reduction, or private work paces, time off for therapy or other medication appointments, more work breaks, different types of supervisory instruction and feedback. Example, written instead of oral. Title II, Public Services and Public Transportation. Title II of the ADA applies to public agencies, including state and local governments, and commuter authorities, including the National Railroad Passenger Corporation. It provides that people with disabilities cannot be discriminated against or excluded from the benefits of the services, programs, or activities of a public entity because of disability. This includes access to state parks, government meetings, public schools, and public transportation. The failure to make certain service accessible to disabled individuals can be considered discrimination such as if a municipal transit agency does not make its buses wheelchair accessible. Title II, Public Accommodations and Commercial Facilities. This section of the ADA applies to places of public accommodation, including most hotels, recreational facilities, restaurants, public transportation, movie theaters, and other public places. It requires that places open to the public be accessible to persons with disability. If changes need to be made to make places accessible to disabled individuals, the legal standard for such changes is one of readily achievable or able to be accomplished simply and inexpensively. There are exceptions to this title of the ADA, so many private clubs, historical landmarks, and religious groups may not have to comply with Title III. Peep the slang, yo. Title IV, Telecommunications. Title IV of the ADA requires that all U.S. telecommunication companies make their services accessible to disabled individuals, largely affecting deaf or hard of hearing persons and those with speech impairments. Because of this requirements, disabled individuals are now able to communicate using public teletypewriter (TTY) machines and other TDDs, telecommunication devices for the deaf. Peep the slang. Title V, Miscellaneous. The ADA covers states as well as Congress. Individuals who successfully file suit under the ADA are entitled, to recover legal fees in addition to any other damages they may recover. This section prohibits retaliation against an individual or asserting his or her rights under the law. Man, peep the slang, yo. You can share it. Comment below. True. Peace. Ken.